Coming up, D-backs have another terrible showing in the series finale against the San Diego Padres. Where do we go from here, D-backs fans? And where should Joe Girardi and Joe Madden go next? Sully Baseball breaks it down. Coming up next on the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day listening to who? The always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas. I'm a multimedia journalist and I'm a graphic designer. So please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there you can see all my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. If you want to see more content by me, just follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account, or just look up Locked On Diamondbacks on both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free and available on all platforms, so please continue to tell your friends. We're going to talk about Joe Madden, Joe Girardi. Where can those two former managers go next? Where can their next destination be? Sully Baseball has some ideas and theories, so we're going to be breaking it down with him. But before we get there with Sully Baseball, I think we first got to talk about this series finale and overall just the state of the D-backs probably a little bit, because the D-backs lose that series finale to the San Diego Padres 10-4. And this was a game that was just defined by poor pitching and a lot of hard hit balls to Josh Rojas, because Josh Rojas, I'm sorry for you, man. You're probably going to have nightmares. You're going to have sweats in the middle of the night, because it was just a tough day for Josh Rojas. And really, I mean, you could say this whole game swung just in the first inning. The game was made in the first inning because the D-backs, they were getting to Mike Clevenger early. They had a couple guys on bases at one point, had bases loaded, one out in the first inning. And in normal D-backs fashion, they were not able to convert at all. No run scored in that kind of situation. The D-backs have been terrible all series. They've been terrible for the entire season with runners in scoring position. And in today's game, the D-backs were 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position after being 0 for 7, I believe, last night with runners in scoring position. So the D-backs are just not converting the opportunities they were given. And then you look at the San Diego Padres in the bottom of the first. What do? They are able to load the bases as well, but they do it with 2 outs, and they end up scoring 4 runs total off 2 outs off Madison Bumagrner in the bottom of the first. Now, I don't think it was all Mad Bum's fault, because Josh Rojas probably could have made a play on that Ha-Seong Kim ball if he's able to field it cleanly, but he was not able to do that, which extended the inning and eventually just led to more runs for the Padres. And I think overall, I felt like this wasn't a terrible Madison Bumagrner game. I know he gives up 6 runs, only 4 of them earned, but I feel like if Rojas makes that play in the first inning and they get out of that first inning unscathed, yeah, maybe Mad Bum still allows a couple runs in that second inning. But after that, Mad Bum really settled down in this game. He picks up the 2,000th strikeout of his career. I thought Mad Bum ended up looking pretty solid on the mound after those first 2 innings. Like, if you look at some of the StatCast numbers for Madison Bumgarner from Mad Bum from this game, Mad Bum's velocity was surprisingly higher than usual. His four-seam fastball averaged 92.2 miles per hour on average in today's game. That's about a tick, about 1.2 miles per hour faster than on average. His changeup was about a mile per hour faster as well. So Mad Bum was throwing the ball pretty hard today, and we know the Padres usually are pretty locked in on Mad Bum. Mad Bum started the season opener against the Padres, and he looked kind of wishy-washy in that one. He ran into some trouble. I think he only gave up like 1 earned run, but it wasn't a very inspiring start from Mad Bum. And I thought today could have been another one of those kind of starts where you feel like the Padres are getting to Mad Bum, feel like the Padres are knocking off base hits. Maybe they're working some deep counts, but at the end of the day, Mad Bum is limiting the damage and not giving up the back breaking hits. But unfortunately today, a lot of hard hit balls to third base, and Josh Rojas was doing his damn best to field those balls and try to create outs and stuff like that, but it just wasn't his day. And it wasn't just Josh Rojas. I mean, there was that one play where Pavin Smith tries to throw it over to second base for where Perdomo's covering the bag, and Pavin Smith just makes a terrible throw. I think he almost hits the base runner, the lead runner in the back as he's making the throw. Like, there were just some really bad defensive plays from the D-backs in this game, and it's just not much, from positive side to talk about. If you want to talk about positives, Christian Walker hit his 19th home run of the season. Of course, it was a solo shot, 2 outs, nobody on, just the perfect time for Christian Walker to go yard. And at 19 home runs, I mean, we're at like 71 games now, I believe, on the season. If Christian Walker could get to 21 home runs before game 81, like a 40 home run season, 45 home run season is really on the cards, on the table for Christian Walker. And I don't think I've really wrapped my head around the idea of Christian Walker hitting 40 plus home runs. That would just be a monster season. And at the pace he's on, I think Christian Walker definitely deserves to be in the home run derby, and I think he should do it. Like, of course, for non-D-backs fans, people are going to look at Christian Walker and be like, why is this guy here? I don't watch the home run derby for Christian Walker. And trust me, if that was like some random Royals player, if Christian Walker was a Kansas City Royal, I wouldn't care about him in the home run derby either. But guess what? He's the D-back, so I do care. So Christian Walker is definitely deserving of that home run derby invitation if he gets one. And then Alek Thomas also had a home run in this game. Again, not a very meaningful home run. When Alek Thomas hit that home run, it was in the 6th, or it was his 6th of the year. It was in the 3rd inning, no one on. So both of these are solo shots, but you'd like to see Alek Thomas get that rookie phenom so far this season for the D-backs. I did a pod last week where I thought he was being overlooked in the NL Rookie of the Year race, and a home run like this, he continues to play great defense. And I think his bat is really starting to come around as well. I mean, his bat's been pretty good all season. I think it's really the slugging power department he needs to tap into a little bit more. And we got to see the home run from Alek Thomas today. So now let's hand out the 3 moons of the game, because like we always do, we hand out 3 stars after D-backs wins to the 3 best players from that game. But after losses, the 3 players who deserve the most blame, the 3 players who could have made an impact but didn't. So the 3 moons of the game for the players who just didn't do enough in tonight's D-backs loss. And the first moon of the game, I'm going to give to Dalton Varsho, who is just in a big slump right now. Numbers / line going the direction you don't want to go. 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts. A lot of 0 for 5, 1 for 4 nights from Dalton Varsho with a strikeout or 2. I have to check the stats, but he might lead the team in strikeouts. Dalton Varsho is the low-key strikeout machine. The second moon of the game, I think I'm going to have to give to Madison Bumagrner. 4 earned runs, 9 hits allowed, 4 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts. Did pick up his 2,000th strikeout of his career. A nice little milestone for him. And then the third moon of the game, I thought heavily about getting it to Luke Weaver just because Luke Weaver was so bad in his 1 inning, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. But I'm going to give it to Josh Rojas just because it just wasn't the best Josh Rojas day. He had an error, and it just was a lot of hit balls to Josh Rojas where he was trying his best, but just not the best showing of Josh Rojas' skill. Of his skill, really, because I don't think Josh Rojas is that bad of a defender. I think there's been a lot of games this season I'm like, man, Josh Rojas can really make some spectacular defense plays over at third base, but was not able to do that in this series, or at least in this finale against the San Diego Padres. And hopefully he can bounce back, because next up the D-backs take on the Detroit Tigers for, I'm not even going to say how many games in the series because I didn't look that up, but it is a manageable series, and a series the D-backs can win. It's not like the Tigers or world beaters or anything like that, but considering how the D-backs have played, I mean, outside that Twin series, it was a lot of poor play against the Pirates and the Cubs and the Reds, and now you got the Padres. The D-backs just haven't looked good for pretty much the whole month of June, but maybe against the Detroit Tigers, they can get back on track.